Kodwa ke le document akuyona le document esikhishwele ngaphandle ekhishwele ngaphandle ukuthi yaziswe wonke umuntu mawubheka la ekhasini ka993.
If you look at, it says 3, pre-compliance. The following 435 bidders were evaluated on pre-compliance. Evaluation on pre-compliance happens only after the unsealing of bids and public notification of who the bidders are. So this document is a document that is prepared long after and is reflecting an internal process of tender adjudication.
Le document yangaphakathi ekhishwa ngaphakathi ngemuva kokuthi ke inqubo noma iprocess ya adjudication isenziwe kodwa idocument yangaphakathi.
Ngisame lapho ngikade ngokushilo ekuqaleni.
I'm still standing there. Excuse the interpreter. I'm not sure I'm understanding the response from the witness.
Ngisame kuloko engikuphendulile.
I'm still standing by what I've answered.
How did you get this document?
Ngabe wayithola kanjani le document?
Angisakhumbuli kahle ukuthi ngayithola kanje.
I do not remember how I obtained this document.
Well, how you got it, you will see on page 932.
Indlela wayithola ngayo uzobheka ku page 932. 932.
You got it from the general. You got it from the general on the 30th of April at 11:56. I take that back. Sorry, I take that back. You sent it to the general on 932. I withdraw that.
You say general, we look, this page is Mampani.
Sorry, I have lost my track on this one. Let me get the correct reference, because you did in fact get it from the general, if I recall correctly.
Once you do that, let's put this to the surgeon. Surgeon, at page 989 and 992, those pages, all of them actually, from where this document starts, it seems from the heading of the document that it is an internal document, because the name of the document is TMPD 0324.25 draft admin R. I'm assuming it will be report or whatever the complete name is, but it is a draft document. So it's unlikely that this document would have been, that's a further indication that it's unlikely that it would have been in the public domain, because it's a draft document of the city. Can you see what I'm pointing out to?
Is 99?
You can pick any one of those. So I'm at page 988 randomly. But from wherever that long list of 435, I think, 435. So any one page that has this list of bids, the heading of it is the same. It's TMPD 032425 draft admin, and then R, and I'm assuming it's report. But the important part that I'm drawing to your attention is it's a draft document by its heading, so it's unlikely that this document was in the public domain. The mic.
Mic is off.
Uma sibheka le document esihloko sayo sikhombisa ukuthi draft, kuyabonisa ukuthi document yangaphakathi akuyona document esikhishelwe ngaphandle ikhishelwa uwonke wonke.
Ngenhlonipho ngisame khona lapho.
I apologize, I still stand by what I said.
You are misinterpreting.
Please repeat what you said, Sgt Nkosi.
Ngithi ngenhlonipho kwinkomishana ngisame kuloko bekade ngikusho.
You apologize that you still stand.
Respectfully,
Yes.
either respectfully or with respect. I
With-
stand by what I said earlier.
With respect, I still stand by what I said.
Will I now have found the reference to where you got it from the general? That's on page 518, on the 25th of March.
File 2,
File 2,
518.
518.
Le ukuthi le document wayitholaphi ku 518.
Uthi page bani?
18.
Yeah, file 2.
Is that file 2, Sgt
Yes,
Nkosi?
yes. Sorry,
And
sir,
have
not
you,
confirmed.
have you
It's
found
file
page 518?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
sorry.
all right.
So you received it from the general on the 25th of March.
Ngomhla ka 25 ka March le document wayithola ivela ku general.
Ngiyayibona.
I can see that.
Why did the general send it to you? Had you asked for it?
Kungani u general wayithumela kwele document ngabe wayicela?
Angeke ngikhumbule kahle ukuthi ngayicela or kanjani mara ngiyayivuma ukuthi ngayisendelwa uye.
I cannot recall if I asked for it or how it came about, but I do agree that this was sent to me by the general.
And a few days after you received it from the general, not a few days, a few hours, you forwarded it to Mr. Mnisi. That we see on page 158.
Emva kwesikhathi emva kwehora nje noma amahora ambalwa uyitholile wayithumela ke kumNester Mnisi.
That is what?
58, file 1.
Okay. I confirm.
Why would you forward it to the CFO?
I really can't remember.
That's all in March. And a full month later, you forwarded it to Mr. Mampani on page 932. And when he receives it after a or some calls with you, he says, Booty, please let him say no to that appointment, please. And you still can't remember why he said that.
That's correct.
Now, Mr. Mampani was the right-hand man of the late Mr. Msibi. Is that not correct? Was that your testimony on Wednesday? In April 2025, what was his relationship with Mr. Sibanyoni like? Did they have a good relationship or a bad relationship?
In April,
April 2025.
I would not know, but I know that they are not friends. They are not talking.
They're not friends today. Today, we're talking, when you say they're not friends.
If I understood you correctly, you said relationship with Mr. Mampane?
And Mr. Sibanyoni.
Yes. No, they are not friends.
They're not friends.
Yes.
And you don't know whether Mr. Mampani had a security company that was already providing ad hoc services to the city or not?
Yes.
You don't know or you do know?
I don't know.
You see, what would happen if an appointment was not made on this contract is the existing bidders, the existing contractors, would stay in position until a new contract was appointed pursuant to a new tender process. You accept that?
Interpreter?
Uyavuma ukuthi le contract uba yayisasebenza. Sorry, I think I'm getting my up. If you could repeat the question.
If an appointment was not made in terms of this tender,
Uma i-appointment yayingenziwanga ngale tender.
then the existing service providers
Can you repeat that question so that maybe my interpreter can hear it correctly? Because I think another misunderstanding between you and her.
The interpretation was accurate, Sgt Nkosi.
But can you repeat again? Sorry, commissioners.
if an appointment was not made in terms of this tender,
Uma kwakungaqashwanga noma i-appointment yayingenziwanga maqondana nale tender.
then the existing suppliers
Ngakho ke laba ma-supplier ayivele ekhona
would remain providing ad hoc security services to the city
ayezoqhubeka nokuthi ahlinzeke ngama-service okwesikhashana kwidolobha kwi-city.
until a new tender process had taken place and a new appointment had been made.
Uma mangabe le kungenziwanga i-appointment entsha.
Babezoqhubeka
Babezoqhubeka.
kuze kube ne-appointment entsha.
Yeah, my interpreter is okay. I think we should proceed, Mara. Ngiyacabanga ukuthi uma behambi yamlahlekela endleleni. So the reason ukuthi ngithi ngicela i-interpreter ngoba ngifuna ukuphendula to the best of my ability. So manje makuba namagama awashiya endleleni mina ngophendula bese kula magama awafakile kanti bekumele ngiphendule amagama awashiya. Bese impendulo yami kubonakala ngathi ingenye indlela engafuneki ukuthi ngibeke yona. So it's my humble submission that
Here is the simple question, Sgt Nkosi, that if there's a tender process
yes,
and there was a previous tender before,
yes.
if new service providers are not appointed under the new tender process, it means the previous service providers will continue providing services on a monthly basis
yes.
until a new service provider is appointed.
That is how I understood it. That's not what my honorable interpreted it. So the commission must take note that sometimes there is miscommunication between. In reference to that, I accept that.
See, your problem is you are hearing clearly, and even things that you are hearing clearly, you want to be interpreted. And then you try to correct the interpreter.
No, Commissioner. I'm sorry, ngiyaxolisa mama ukuthi ngibonakala kanjalo. I'm sorry to you, commissioners. You know the reason, commissioners, I don't want to upset Commissioner Baloyi.
Why her?
Because
I'm asking the question, why her? She's quiet.
yes, you know, before I answer, I must think of her first. That what is coming next? So with due respect, not in a bad way. So I want to ask that to the best of their ability, that indeed I want to answer. So that is the reason I'm very cautious when my interpreter interprets, so that the next word now I must look this side and this side. Then I don't want that again.
I think it's a good idea not to upset me.
No.
Mr. Chancellor.
So if you were an existing service provider,
Uma ubumuntu obuhlinzeka ngale ma service okhona okwamanje.
you would have an interest in not having the new tender result in a new appointment.
Ubuzokuthakazela wena uma umuntu okulected okuleso provide le service ohlinzeka ngale service okwamanje ukuthi kungabi nenye itender ebakhona entsha engenayo. Uthanda ukuthi isimo sihlale singaleso simo ukuthi kungabi nenye itender engenayo mangabe usaqhubeka nokwenza lo msebenzi.
Do you see that? Do you accept that?
Kunjalo.
Yes, it is so.
And if you were a bidder for tender 3 of 24-25, like you say Mr. Mampani was,
Uma ngabe ke njengokulesi simo sika Mr. Mampane ubuzofuna lesi simo sihlale sinjalo.
and you saw a list of all the bidders and all their prices, and you realized that your price was going to lose,
Kanti ke futhi wabona uhla lamanye amabid akhona kanye namanani ama price abenzayo wabona ukuthi wena uzoluza.
you would have an even bigger incentive to get tender 3 of 24-25 to a position where no award was made. You would have an even bigger incentive to get tender 3 of tender 1 of 24-25 cancelled.
Ubuzoba nokuthakazelela ukuthi leyo tender ka 2024 I'm getting all muddled up, please.
Sorry, I'm particularly disorganized this morning. You would have an even bigger incentive to get this tender with this list of bidders cancelled.
Uzothakazela ukuthi le list entsha lamathenda acancel.
No, not the list, the tender itself.
The tender itself cancelled, indeed.
Uzothakazela ukuthi le tender kwasayona icancel.
Angeke ngiphawule kuloko ngoba nginayo ithenda.
I would not comment on that as I do not have a tender.
Angazi ukuthi maybe mabangangenanga bacabangani or mabangenile bacabangani.
I do not know what would they think, whether they are in or out.
But Mr. Mampani did have a tender, and he asked you to let him say no to that appointment.
Mr. Mampane ke wayenayo leyo tender, wathi wakwazisa wakutshela ukuthi ucela ukuthi bathi cha kule tender entsha.
But you still say you can't remember why he asked you to let him say no to that appointment.
Kodwa usathi wena awazi ukuthi yini eyenza ukuthi akucela ukuthi wena bathi cha kule tender entsha.
Kunjalo.
It is so.
Let's move to a different topic then, or I'm going to move to a different topic unless there are questions from the commissioners. Can we go to page 532?
Fine.
532. File 2.
I'm pressed, can I?
Yes, Sergeant. The usual.
I'm pressed. Not the usual.
Let's adjourn.
Sorry.